Alleged serial killer Anthony Robinson has been apprehended in Virginia. Robinson is known as the shopping cart killer and has been linked to the deaths of at least 4 women. Hey everybody, welcome to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. I'm Christy Brower, here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver. Hey Katie.
Hello.
How's it going?
Well, it's going well. Just, full-blown Christmas prep at this point. Man, we're not very many days away, you guys.
We are not, no, which is weird to me. Like, I still don't feel like it's almost Christmas at all, but whatever. We're done. Our shopping's done, so now some wrapping has to happen.
Yeah. Well, we did have our annual cookie day on Saturday where we got together and man, we cooked up a storm.
We did. It was really fun, and that's something we do every year that we love, and we're getting ready to do our Secret Santa deliveries, which are our other favorite thing, and so yeah, lots of good stuff happening.
It is good. I'm a little unsure what Christmas is going to look like since my 2 older college kids that live away from us both have COVID right now and have been very sick all weekend.
Poor kids, dang it.
I can tell they're feeling better because they're calling me off the hook.
Oh,
because
good.
They're really bored now, Right. But of course, they can't come home unless they have clean COVID tests. So we'll see what happens. Luckily, their job tests as often as you would like to be tested. It's mandatory once a week, but they'll test them anytime. So they'll be tested, I'm sure, by Tuesday and beyond, because also they'd like them to come to work.
Well, yeah, that would be nice. Work, also home for Christmas. 2 things that would be nice. Poor things,
sure.
dang it.
I know. So they're kind of worried. They've been saying, what happens if we don't have a clean test and can't come home? And I said, well, then when you do, we'll come down there and still do Christmas with you, but it's the best we can do.
Right, it is. It's just the reality of
COVID.
The pandemic life, I guess.
Yeah, it sucks. So
It does suck.
Anyway, that's the less good thing going on right now. But other than that,
Other than that, pretty good. Well,
yeah.
We have an interesting and brand new case for you guys today.
Yeah.
Brand new, horrifying, however, very important. We need to keep our eyes on this one because this could turn into something even more. It's already quite a lot.
Yeah, it will. Well, and the most recent serial killer that we know of.
Yes, most definitely. Yeah, that's caught at least.
Yeah.
So this is Anthony Eugene Robinson. He has been arrested in Virginia, and he is suspected of being a serial killer.
Yeah.
He has been called the shopping cart serial killer because he has transported his victims' bodies or even just abandoned his victims' bodies in shopping carts.
Shopping carts. This cracks me up because there's a real debate going on over on Twitter about the name. Some news agencies have refused
himself of the county that arrested him named him.
Right.
Like it was,
Correct. And some news agencies have refused to use the name because they think that glorifying serial killers with a nickname is a big mistake. Other people think that being called the shopping cart killer is not glamorous at all and is actually kind of funny and quite fitting for, go to prison as a shopping cart killer. There's no fame and glory in that one. So I don't know. It's an interesting conversation. But when we have mass killers like this, a lot of times they do get a nickname. That's really common.
Yeah, it is. Anymore, it is very common. And actually, as a true crime podcaster, I kind of like it because it helps me keep track.
Absolutely.
Or, tell the difference between various people. So he is suspected of killing at least 4 women, 3 of which have been identified. So the first 2, their names are Eileen Elizabeth Redmond and Tanita Larice Smith. And they were found in around Thanksgiving time.
Mhm.
in a vacant lot, I think,
Yeah.
weren't they? Yeah. So that they started there.
Yeah.
And then they've discovered Cheyenne Brown of South DC.
Mhm.
Um, they found her body, although her body hasn't been officially identified, but she has a very unusual tattoo, and so they do believe it is her.
Yeah.
And
Her family
then,
has identified the tattoo.
yeah, her family has says, yeah, that's definitely her.
Yeah.
And then there's the fourth victim that they think maybe they know who it is, but they're working to identify right now.
Yeah.
And
This
that,
one's an interesting one because they didn't even know she was missing. At
right,
least in Virginia, they didn't know.
right, in Virginia, they didn't know. But he's crossing right there around DC.
Mhm.
You have a bunch of different states. You've got Virginia and you've got
Mhm.
Maryland
Mhm.
and you've got the District of Columbia.
Mhm.
You've got a bunch of different states that are kind of connected to each other right in that whole area.
Mhm. And different jurisdictions right through there. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it took them a little bit to figure out, hey, well, there's some more bodies here. But what was happening is that Anthony would meet women on social dating apps,
Yeah.
meet them in hotels, uh, assault them and kill them, and then often would transport their bodies to wherever he was going to leave them in shopping carts.
Mhm.
So there's a pretty famous picture that's been going around. Now, I'm sure Target is not pleased because it
Mhm.
is a Target shopping cart
Mhm.
where the body of Cheyenne Brown and the yet to be named body were found.
Mhm.
So there's a lot to know yet.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, and the second ones, they were at that was behind a really seedy hotel that is well known for crime called the Moon Inn.
yes, yes,
And a lot of people have said, well, if you saw somebody wheeling somebody in a shopping cart, a dead body, wouldn't you notice? Well, not necessarily. It could have happened at night, but as well, he could have had a bunch of other crap piled on top of it, and nobody might have been the
right,
wiser because people do push around carts and stuff.
right.
So,
It's actually probably a fairly common sight,
yeah.
unfortunately.
Well, and
So,
he tended to prey on really vulnerable women.
yes,
And we know the potential fourth victim actually is from California.
yeah.
And her family is convinced it's her. Some detectives have actually flown to California to get some DNA evidence to try to identify her. But
Hmm.
she uh, had come to DC to come to the nation's capital. She has schizophrenia. She is extremely gullible and vulnerable. They were very
Mm,
concerned about her taking this trip by herself, and
sure.
she basically insisted on doing it, and then they just lost contact with her. But they
Mm,
know from her bank statements that she stayed at the
the
Moon
Moon
Inn.
Hotel. Oh man. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, that's really
Yep.
sad.
Yep. It
That
is.
is really sad. Well, and the scary thing is here that the police didn't know anything about this guy before these first two bodies were found,
Right.
and he really has no criminal r history.
No.
And the police are going, "Well, usually there's an evolution in these kinds of crimes,
Mhm.
and it's possible that evolution happened somewhere else,
Yeah.
or he's just never been caught before now." Because the big question now is, how many other people was he talking to on social media or on
Yeah.
dating websites, and are any of them missing? Because
Right.
they're really not ruling out at this point that there are probably other victims.
Well, it's very unusual for a 35-year-old who
Yeah,
doesn't really have a criminal history to speak of to suddenly go off the rails and murder four women. It is
right. No,
odd.
it doesn't just happen like that. Like,
Mhm.
other things have been, yeah,
Yeah, it's very strange.
happened. Yeah, they're really kind of struggling at this point to understand it, and that it's so early in the whole
Mhm.
situation. We'll see more, as they try to figure him out and also
Mhm.
determine are there any other victims? Did he talk to any other women that are missing?
Well, they're saying from his digital footprint that he was up and down the East Coast. And so it's
Yeah.
very possible that there were other victims in other states from New York all the way to Florida. They're really
Yeah,
putting the word out all the way up the East Coast. Hey, if you have a missing person, like, we need to hear about it, because they have
right.
mostly used technology to be able to tie him to places where these other people were, and
Yeah,
so
well, and place him where the victims were before
yeah.
the last that they were heard from, and, I mean,
Mhm.
this is the future of policing and forensics,
Yeah.
is that those digital footprints that our phones create everywhere we
Mhm.
go are gonna be the bottom line of everything. I mean, you can
Yeah.
literally prove they were s next to each other, basically,
Yep. Yep.
which is pretty amazing.
Well, it is. I mean, that's how they knew that he was at the Moon Inn at the same time of both of the victims that were at the Moon Inn, but as
Right.
well as the first location as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be really interesting. I mean, forensics, now they're doing the DNA forensics and they're hoping to get some good evidence there. But they have released all this information very early, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, they don't even, have an official identification on the second 2 victims, but they're still saying,
Mhm.
"We really want this info out here right now because we want to know who else," We wanna
Right.
get on top of the whole
And of
picture.
course, we have to say that this is all alleged. He is
Yeah.
alleged. He is accused of these things. He
Mhm.
hasn't been convicted of anything. This is
No.
early in the game, which we don't really see very often with, serial cases.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, Katie, that the authorities want the information out as soon as possible in case there are other missing persons cases that can be linked to him,
Mhm.
or other bodies that haven't been identified, or that,
100%.
there's
Yeah.
been no movement on, understanding how they died.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I mean, they're loud in the news right now because they need not just families of missing people, but also jurisdictions all around them and all the way up and down the coast to hear this story and go, "Ah,
Yeah.
well, yeah." Because just like with the Daybell case, you remember how much information they said that they had, all of the digital information that takes so long for them to
Right.
comb through. Imagine right now working backwards through all of his cell phone records, maybe even,
Yeah.
let's say, for the last year, for the hell of it.
Right.
Technically, right now, we know from August to now these 4 victims, but let's say a year. Every hotel he stayed in, every town he was in,
Yeah.
and then looking to see if we know of any missing women in the area from that time frame. Like, this is really, and that's
Well, and
counting on
also
them knowing
dating,
about those missing people.
right. Well, and also dating apps,
Yes.
looking at who else has he
Mhm.
communicated with? Have they been reported missing? Anything like that.
Yeah.
It's a huge, huge job.
Well, and how many dating apps and how many profiles did he have?
Right.
And or used to have and deleted and started a new one and so forth. It is
Yeah,
an
there's
enormous piece of work. Yeah.
yeah, most definitely. And, we think this is just the very beginning. There's certainly not the end of this story, but the beginning of
No.
it. So much love to the families of these victims.
Oh, yeah.
This is a horrible time for them, that
Oh,
their
it's
family members have
awful.
been found and identified. They know how they died. These kinds of things.
Mhm.
I cannot imagine being on that end.
No, and it's easy to say, well, at least they have some closure now. But if I was in their shoes, I wouldn't feel like that was a damn thing, you know?
No, no, not at all. Well, and
Yeah.
at least Robinson is in custody. Sometimes,
Yes.
I mean, how many of these cases have we talked about over the years that
Mhm.
remain unsolved?
Yeah.
That, get up in the 10, 15, 20 deaths, and that we
Mhm.
still don't know who committed them. And here we're sort of starting in a different way in
Yeah.
which we do know, and now it's a matter of connecting more cases to him, but
Mhm.
at least he's off the street.
Yeah. Yep, most
So
definitely.
there will be
Well,
many updates going forward, court dates, that
oh,
kind of thing. We'll
yeah.
be keeping an eye on all of that.
Yeah, and we'll take a closer look at the victims too. Like,
Yes,
we
and
know
talk
that
about them.
Aline Redmond was a grandma.
Yeah.
How sad is that? She was a grandma. She's left her children and grandchildren, sadly. There's more to learn about all of the victims, and we'll definitely, do a feature on them as well, because
Yes.
they also deserve to have this conversation as much as the possible victims out there that we still need to pull together. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. Well, and there's they did create a flyer on that fourth victim and
Hmm.
have had it out and around, and that's why,
Hmm.
they think that it is
Yeah.
um, this
Her name is
fourth one.
Stephanie. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. The potential fourth victim's name is Stephanie.
Harrison.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. I'm thinking that is exactly who that is.
yeah. Family's pretty sure. So
Yeah.
yeah, but we'll keep you updated. It's not,
Yeah.
we talk about previous serial killers, we talk about, you know, unsolved cases, that kind of thing, but it's not often that we get to actually talk about a case like this from the beginning.
Hmm.
And I do
Yeah.
think that's important to acknowledge and just be aware of and present for, because one of
Yeah.
the reasons that we do this is to learn,
And
to
there's
learn.
so much more to learn about him. So much more, because
Yeah, pretty
honestly,
much
there is
everything.
practically nothing known about him at this point.
Yep.
Practically nothing.
Yeah, and police are kind of going, he didn't just start with this, there are other things,
Right.
he's done other things, but to get his DNA and get his DNA into the databases out there and stuff, that's going to be interesting because some
Hmm.
other things may start popping up as
Yeah.
well there.
Yeah. Easily could. Yep. This is definitely the beginning, but this will get interesting for
Yeah,
sure.
it most definitely will. So this is our Monday case.
Yeah.
So we will be back with two more pre-recorded cases this week, plus
Hmm.
our live stream on Wednesday night, our Wednesday night case updates, where we'll be
Hmm.
updating all of the cases that we're covering right now.
Yep.
And then on Thursday, we'll have the Psychic Hour, which is also a live stream at 7 p.m. Mountain.
Hmm. Which, by the
So,
way, case updates is going to be fascinating this week, because abruptly Friday afternoon, the Maxwell case rested. The defense
just
rested.
rested out of nowhere.
Remember those guys that said they had 35 witnesses and needed 5 weeks? Yeah,
Yeah.
they worked for a day and a half and
Well, it looks as though those
rested.
35 witnesses were sort of like, we're out of here when they couldn't be anonymous.
Hmm.
So we don't know what else is going to happen in that case, but we're very curious to see. And so we'll
Hmm.
be talking about that on Wednesday, along with lots of other stuff. See where the
What
Kim
else
Potter
comes up?
trial
Yeah.
is at by then. It's getting close to being down to the end of it as well.
Hmm.
So, yeah, we've got lots more to talk about this week.
Yes.
So stay tuned. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. It definitely helps us to grow. And as you know it, we are True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters.
Take care.